If you've been following along, you know I quit my job to focus on this channel. The plan was to take a full year off and I'm 9 months in now. In this video, I'm breaking down how I made that happen. So if you've ever thought about taking time off to work on something you really care about or to just take a break, this video might give you some ideas. Let's start with rent. How am I paying for this? Well, for 2 years, from age 37 to 38, I moved back in with my parents. Not exactly a glamorous move, and definitely not something I ever pictured myself doing at that age, but honestly, it made a huge difference. They charged me $500 a month in rent, which was incredibly low, and during that time, I was working full-time, so I managed to save a good chunk of money. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with those savings at first, but then I decided I wanted to invest in myself. Not in some flashy way, just in giving myself the gift of time to focus on other things that were of interest to me. And once I moved out, I took all that money and used it to cover my rent for 1 year. And I had to move out. There was no way I was gonna get anything done with my parents around. Alright, let's talk about my car payment. Yes, I did recently buy a new car, but not really because I wanted to. My last car was a 2006 Pontiac G6 and I had it for 17 years. They don't even make them anymore. It was definitely on its last legs, and one day I had it parked on the street and it got hit by a drunk driver. The repairs would have cost more than the car was worth, so I had no real choice. I had to get a new one. That was about a year and a half ago. Now I got a monthly car payment of $600 a month, and honestly, I hate car payments. I mean, who doesn't? I'm just hoping that this one lasts me 17 years also. So how do I cover the payment? Well, I still have somewhat of a job. I'm a substitute teacher, which is a very flexible job. I basically just pick up jobs whenever I want to. I usually work around 4 days a month, and after taxes, I make about $150 a day. 4 days equals $600. And voila, that's how I cover my car payment. Simple as that. So the rent and the car payment are basically my two biggest bills, and now you know how I cover those. But of course there are other expenses too, and for those other expenses, I have one simple rule: cut back as much as possible. Amazon purchases was also a huge expense. It's honestly kind of insane how much I used to spend on there. I'd buy baskets, magnets, more pens, lamps, you name it, I bought it. So I made a rule. I'd only use Amazon for necessities. Stuff like shampoo, basic skincare, sponges, things like that. Just that small change made me realize how much I used to spend on completely random things. Clothing was another area I cut back on. I basically stopped buying clothes altogether. I think in the last 9 months, I've bought 4 shirts total, and they were all under 10 bucks. This is pretty much my entire wardrobe, and it really is more than enough. Before, I think the problem was whenever I went with my daughter to Target or any clothing store, I'd almost always see something I liked and I'd end up buying it. So now my strategy is simple. I just don't go to those stores. My cell phone bill, I got lucky here. I switched to Spectrum. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but they're mainly an internet and cable company. They recently started offering mobile service, and since they're new to it, they're trying to attract customers by offering 1 year of free service if you switch over. So I did, and that's how I've been getting by with no cell phone bill. Also, I'm still using this old phone, and as long as it's working, I'm not upgrading. No need. And groceries? This is obviously one expense I can't avoid. I mean, I have to eat or I'll die, right? So this is how I cover that part of my budget. Back when I was 30, so about 9 years ago, I bought a house. At the time, it made sense, but over the years, I realized it was just too big for me. I wanted something smaller, something simpler. Instead of selling the place, I decided to rent it out. I ended up renting it to a friend, which worked out really well. That decision is actually what led to me moving back in with my parents for those 2 years. It was part of the transition while I figured out my next steps. Now I make about $500 a month in profit from that rental, and that's how I cover my groceries. It's not a huge amount, but it's enough to take care of one of the essentials. And of course, there are still other bills like health insurance, car insurance, and all the miscellaneous stuff that comes up from time to time. So how do I cover these? Well, when I was around 31 or 32, I started investing. Nothing fancy. I wasn't working with a financial advisor or anything. I just got a little guidance from my brother, downloaded the Robinhood app, and started buying shares of companies I liked. Now I'm 39, so it's been about 7 or 8 years since I started. Over time, that account has grown, and these days, I sell off a little bit of stock each month to help cover those extra expenses. It's not a huge amount, but it fills the gaps, and it's another piece of how I've been able to take this time off. So I think I've covered everything. When I really sit down and think about it, I kind of freak myself out because I literally gave up my income for a year and drained my savings. But I try really hard not to think about it that way. I try not to focus on how much money I could have had or how much I've spent, because your mind will try to take you there. Instead, I focus on what I've gained. I started working when I was 14 and never really stopped. I never paused to breathe or reflect. I was just always working. So having this break has actually been really nice. It gave me a chance to slow down, and I know it might sound a little corny, but I finally got to know myself. I had time to figure out my strengths, my flaws, and actually start working on those flaws through trial and error. I had space to think about what really matters. At first, I was super focused on this channel and still am, but around the 6 month mark, I realized how important my family is to me, and all they really want is my time. The Bible says we should be of service, and I want to be of service, so I started shifting my focus. I became more available to the people I care about, like my parents who are getting older. Not all of my time, of course, I still needed to take care of myself, but I started giving them more. I don't know if I would have had that eye-opening moment if I had never taken a break from my job. That being said, I'm actually looking forward to going back to work in a few months. Partly just to be around people again, but also because I'm curious. Have I grown enough to keep this channel going? If I've really done the work, if I've built the habits and discipline, then I should be able to keep posting at least 3 videos a month. But if I haven't, then we'll see what happens. All right, that's all I've got for now, so hope to see you on the next one. Bye.